Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, HawaiiSportsRadio.com, and of course, streaming live on our YouTube channel. So hello to everybody that is tuning in, and you guys can get in on the live chat whenever you want. I know Caesar's been active in there for like a while now, but you can also text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. If you do just want to get in on the conversation and say anything and everything, because we've got a lot of football to talk about today. What a week of having a nice UH football win, of course, that we will talk extensively about. More exciting college football games and upsets, and then the full weekend of the NFL that is back. I know the first thing that I texted our guys this Sunday morning, I was like, good morning, gents. I am praying for your mental health today because my team, the Chicago Bears, were not in action on NFL Sunday, but they are later on this afternoon. So, guys, pray for me and my mental health this afternoon as the Bears will take on the Vikings for Monday Night Football to close out NFL Week 1. We'll talk about that a little later, though. We will get into UH football in just a little bit. But coming up on the show, we will let you guys hear from what head coach Timmy Chang had to say following Saturday's nice win over Sam Houston. Convincing win, again, 37-20 over the visiting Bearcats. Cheers
Good
to
job.
the Beers.
Look at
Cheers
you
to
go.
the Beers.
Cheers to the Beers.
No joke. I have to
really
try,
think it through every single time.
Bearcats. It's the Bearcats.
So funny, dude.
I don't know what it is. It throws me off every time. We'll talk about the NFL. We'll talk some Rainbow Wahine volleyball. See? Told you guys. Paul and I were not worried at all last week. We're like, it's fine. Everything's fine. And everything ended up being fine, where the Rainbow Wahine ending up winning the OUTRIGGER Invitational yesterday after that sweep. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And again, like I said, college football and all points in between. But and we'll let Paul have his therapy session when we start speaking extensively about the NFL a little later, as that was a stressful game for the Jets and Paul and a couple of other residential media members that are also Jets fans, actually. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But I did want to mention before we get into a UH football talk, man, if there was a game that was drunk, well, there were some that were drunk.
There were a lot of games that were drunk.
But there was that one game.
But there was the drunkest of them all.
The chocolate-wasted game that was Sunday Night Football. I mean, my goodness, Paul. I don't know if you were watching that game from beginning to end, but 41-40, the Buffalo Bills over the Baltimore Ravens. And it wasn't even necessarily like, oh, it was this close back and forth game this whole time. It looked like the Ravens were just going to completely run away with it after a while. Fourth quarter, Bills down 15 or so points. And then it's all started with, of all people, a Derrick Henry fumble who felt like he was defying his age that entire game. But you know what? That fumble monster will always get you somehow. And it felt like after that fumble, it all just went away from the Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills able to take advantage. So shout out to both MVP quarterbacks, actually, with Josh Allen. And oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm thinking back to all of the different highlights of that game, and it was just insane. Like, what a way to end off NFL Sunday. Of course, Lamar Jackson was doing Lamar Jackson things as well, but Lamar Jackson can't be on the field for defense and everything. And Josh Allen, I know I've been critical of the Bills and saying that their time to win the Super Bowl has come and gone, which I still kind of believe that. But it doesn't mean I don't want to root for their success, and mainly because Josh Allen, it's nice to see a quarterback out of the Mountain West, out of Wyoming, not as heavily recruited as some of the other 4 or 5 stars and stuff that we see, but being at this level of awesome in the NFL, coming from the Mountain West. I just hope, take notes, kids, that it doesn't matter where you go to college, as long as you play and you get the reps that you do and you take everything seriously. But what a game to cap off this full football weekend. It was insane.
What do you mean cap off? You still
weekend.
You haven't gotten off of it. Then Monday is always part of the weekend for me.
Gosh.
At least for football. No, it's it's just nice to have football back in general. Like, it was really, really nice to settle into the couch at 7 a.m. yesterday and just have a full day of football. From there, you get the 10 a.m. games, you get the... It was beautiful. The Bills-Ravens game was chocolate wasted is a great way to put it. Just an absurd game. I've said it to you multiple times at this point, a Jetsian loss by the Ravens. But overall, I mean, it's kind of what you expected. I got to imagine that's exactly what the schedule makers were hoping for when they put this game in prime time for week 1. By the way, we'll talk about it. I guess the Jets and Steelers wouldn't have been so bad in prime time, albeit it was a crazy game. But yeah, the Ravens and the Bills, call me crazy, Koo. I don't think it's going to be the last time they meet this year. It feels like we are destined for another meeting between those two in the postseason. And this was a big one for both sides for that reason in particular, where this could end up being the leg up that the Bills need to be the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, end up hosting maybe it's an AFC championship game, maybe it's the divisional round against the Ravens, against the Chiefs, whoever it may be. And, is that the difference between them getting knocked out all of these years and then finally breaking through? It's the final year of high water or Highmark, whatever the stadium's called. I don't care. Go Jets. But yeah, it was a really, really fun game. A great way to cap off, like you said, the weekend of football. I don't know how week 2 is going to top week 1, if I'm being totally honest, because there were a lot of really good games. I know I joke, I'm like, oh, the Jets game was crazy, the Ravens game was there were a lot. I mean, the Browns, and we'll get into all of it.
There were a lot of an ugly game. There were a lot of ugly games as well, but the game, of course, that mattered the most to majority of you guys that are tuning in is the University of Hawaii football game, coming out with a win over Sam Houston. A nice win for the Rainbow Warriors. Again, 37-20 in a game that was free for everybody on Spectrum, or via Spectrum, but on Spectrum and Hawaiian Telcom. I know my dad got a chance to actually watch a game for the first time in a long time. He was excited about that.
Whoa.
As my mom was the one that accompanied me to the game, and my dad got to stay home in the comfort of their home and watch.
Dad energy right there, by the way.
He loves it. He wouldn't want to. That's no place he'd rather be.
Talk about settling into the couch and just having a nice day watching sports.
I don't know about the couch, though. My dad is more of he'll have it on, but then he's a busybody, so he'll do stuff
around.
And then come back.
I'm familiar with the type.
But anyways, yeah, Luke Weaver getting the start, as we were mentioning, and I'm glad a lot of people got to see that, hey, exactly. Again, Paul, we're not entirely crazy, and sometimes we know what we're talking about, with Luke Weaver being more than adequate to lead this Rainbow Warrior squad. Again, 37-20 over Sam Houston. Kind of got a little surprise, little nightcap to end things off, Hawaii going for it on 4th down and getting that one less touchdown was a nice way to cap off what was already an exciting game. And we'll let you guys hear again from what head coach Timmy Chang had to say following that game coming up in the next segment. But some of the individual highlights that we have over here: 37 points scored, second most ever scored at home under Timmy Chang, only behind the New Mexico game that we got to see top off the season last year. Again, Luke Weaver having a nice first career start, extending the trend. This was an interesting fun fact in the post-game note. 7 of last 8 UH quarterbacks winning their starting debut. Weaver's 47-yard pass to Pefele Ashlock on the first play was UH's longest play of the year. Hopefully it won't be the longest play.
The year's run that wide open Pefele play all the time.
The year is just getting started. And of course, the defense has been consistent this year. I know we've mentioned just the tackling issues, but for the most part, the defense, as we've gone into this season, very optimistic, held its 3rd straight opponent under 200 passing yards, with Sam Houston at 159. But we've always been high on that secondary for the defense when it comes to, if I'm an opposing quarterback, it's going to be hard to try to get those big plays against this Rainbow Warrior defense. But all in all, Hawaii, 417 total yards of offense via the stats at hawaiiathletics.com. And it was a fun game. Controlled time of possession, just under 33 minutes to Sam Houston's 27. But overall, the good vibes. It felt amazing on Saturday. But as also, it was actually a bigger win than I had anticipated. I really thought it was going to be a bit closer than this, but it was nice not to sweat it out at the end. But good win for the Rainbow Warriors.
A very good win for the Rainbow Warriors to bounce back after what was a really unfortunate weekend in Tucson, where the offense didn't really ever get going. The defense never really gets going. And your special teams, I guess, was your star of that night. This was a complimentary game from all three phases, I thought. I thought the defensive line had a great night. 4 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss. Jackie Johnson Jr. already up to 3 sacks on the season for all of you who played Paul's Parlor and took the over on 1.5 players with 5 or more sacks. You're almost halfway there already. And Dejon Benton, by the way, was just an animal in this game. I mean, that dude was ripping through the Sam Houston line. It was just a really nice bounce-back performance in general from the Hawaii defense. And the offense, like you said, you and I weren't necessarily worried this week against Sam Houston if Luke Weaver needed to be at the controls, because this is exactly kind of what we expected, where he has the ability, especially fully healthy, he has the ability to add with his legs. He has enough with his arm. He also was an unknown commodity enough where it's like you don't really have enough to scout on him. But just in general, I thought he had a real nice night. There were some moments where I thought he was lucky he didn't get intercepted a couple of more times. He had a really bad pick 6. Like, there were moments where you're like, oh yeah, this is a guy who's still improving, still backup quarterback. But
Hawaii had his first pick 6 in 3 years.
Oh my God, dude.
Giovanni Iovino. That was a nice little treat for Hawaii football fans as well. But 41 yards, got into the end zone, because that's the thing, right? We've seen picks, and I always bring up one of the picks again, like, oh, just get into the end zone. But and when it happened, I did not fathom he was going to get
in the end zone too, by the way.
I did not fathom that he would get into the end zone, because it's been so long. Again, 3 years. The last time was Panay Pavihi versus Duquesne back on September 17th, 2022, when our defense got in there for a pick 6. So that was nice. Yes, as you mentioned, not a very good pick 6 on our hand, but a good one for the Rainbow Warriors.
It evens out, right? You cancel those out, and then otherwise the offense was great. I thought Landon Sims had a nice night. I thought overall the running back room helped out enough. And, I mean, Luke Weaver, and it's just kind of this offense in general, because we've seen Micah Alejado do this as well, did a nice job passing the ball around to different targets. He didn't just lock in on Pefele Ashlock. He didn't just lock in on Landon Sims. He distributed it exceptionally well. I mean, Pefele only had 1 catch in the first half, and it was that first play of the game at 47-yard reception, right? And then all of a sudden, once all of these other players get some of their touches, and by the way, this is something we should note as well. Nick Senecal hurt for this game, did not have any action. Jackson Harris, if he did play, he only played very early on, did not play in the second half at all that I saw. So this was a wide receiver room that was without 2 of its best players, 2 starters, and already down your starting quarterback, and it didn't necessarily matter. Now, to be fair, maybe that helps a little bit, because Luke Weaver obviously taking QB2 snaps throughout all of camp. Some of these wide receivers he's now playing with were also during those 2s, or with those 2s during camp. So kind of works out in that way, but a lot of talent for Hawaii in the offense. The defense, a nice performance. And hey, by the way, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Kansei Matsuzawa. Still hasn't missed a PAT or a field goal this year. Huh? Guy, I mean, the greatest ad for YouTube maybe ever, I think. That's the NIL that they got to figure out for him.
By the way, where the people I was sitting with, I never heard this potential nickname for Kansei, because we've heard different things. Like, I heard Kikaida and Tokyo Toe and some other stuff, but I've never heard anyone say Kikoman and like spell it kick-o-man, like the shoyu. And I'm like, I kind of like that one, the Kikoman. And plus it has the most potential, or like NIL potential. I don't think I've ever really seen Kikoman advertised that much, really. It's always been the Aloha Shoyu more so, but there's always a chance. So I'm kind of thinking more so that's in alignment, again, that could potentially line him up for an NIL deal. So Kikoman, or anyone that's familiar with the brand of Kikoman and knows anyone that can talk to someone, uncles, brothers, something, Kikoman for Kansei Matsuzawa, and try to get some of that NIL stuff for him. But yes, a shout out Kansei. And again, Luke Weaver finishing off a 27 for 43 for 294 yards, 3 tutties, and just that interception that we can forget.
I mean, he
got
also
sacked
had
a few times.
26 rushing yards, more than 300 yards of total offense throughout the day. I don't think you can ask for any more from QB2. I thought he did more than his job in this one. A great job. And the first time they're 2-1 under Timmy Chang. And that's like, guys, they're, a third of the way to bowl eligibility already with an opportunity to make it halfway there before Mountain West play even begins. This is the start that we were hoping for. We weren't sure if we would see. So far, so good.
Yeah, seems pretty good to me. All right, we're going to have to take a break, but we'll talk UH football throughout the next couple of hours, of course. But when we come back, we will let you guys hear from what head coach Timmy Chang had to say following that win on Saturday night. Don't go anywhere. This is Wake Up in the Den on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck. Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. I want to let you guys hear, of course, from what head coach Timmy Chang had to say following that nice win over Sam Houston on Saturday, 37-20 in the Rainbow Warriors' favor. Now, of course, I know most of you guys probably tuning in on YouTube probably already watched it, as it is available via the University of Hawaii. But of course, we want to give a little love to all of our radio listeners and podcast listeners as well. So without further ado, here is a good portion of what head coach Timmy Chang, again, had to tell the media following that win.
You know, tonight was a good call for us to come back and respond the way we did. Those guys had a great week of practice. I think that's what it starts with us, is just understanding what type of mindset we have to have going into these weeks. And starting with, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday being what we need them to be, and that's what happened. So proud of those guys. I'm proud of how they played in all three phases, and there's stuff to clean up, of course, and we'll get to watching the film, and then it's back to Monday work.
It seemed that Luke was very comfortable, probably because he got all the snaps this week. And how'd that help his preparation? And how many plays did you end up having a script for him?
Luke is a diamond for us. I mean, when we recruited Luke, there's one qualification that comes to mind. That's a winner. That's what intrigued us about Lukey coming here to the University of Hawaii. He through January all the way through now, he's put in the work. Nothing really phases him. And he goes out there and operates, and that's what you have to do as a quarterback. You got to go out there and operate. You got to know your system. You got to know your system. He came in and learned it within 8 months, and was able to just study. Even though Micah maybe got a lot more of the reps, especially when he got to training camp. But Lukey's right there, understanding what we have to do. He's a really good quarterback, and really proud of how he performed tonight.
The final scoring play for you guys to go up 17 there in the waning minutes, did you weigh between either field goal or touchdown, and then what went into getting that basically the home run play to seal it?
Yeah, it's one of those situations where the CAI book would say, I think at that point the CAI book had 10 yards and more to go for it, and it makes sense, right? It's you kick a field goal, it's still only up 2 possessions, right? With them having a chance to make 7, onside it, and then go make 7 again. So your chances of controlling the clock within under 3 minutes, or 2 minutes, and holding on to that lead, holding on to the ball. At that point, the clock is not your friend, and so it's kind of a chess match, because they could have backed us up if they wanted to, but they elected to leave it there and decline it on 4th and 2, and so we tried to draw them off sides, and then had a timeout left to draw up a play that, if we're up 10 and we don't get it, they got to drive the length of the field, and so felt comfortable calling it, and more importantly, no matter what you call the guy, we have to execute, and that's what those guys did, and that's what I'm proud of.
Hey, Coach, congratulations. Could you just speak to how important a fast start was for you guys today? Good job by the defense getting a 3 and out, and then a 47-yard bomb to start things to Pefele.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. I think as this team, I think as people get to see this team, they're starting to see a different side of how these guys are operating. We are operating at a higher level, and fighting through adversity. And in some cases in the past we didn't. In other cases we haven't started fast. And so it's very important for these guys. It's things that we talk about day in and day out. So it was a great game by us, by all 3 phases: special teams, offense, and defense.
What more can you say about how confident you guys are in Kansei, and just how comfortable he's been this year?
Yeah, Kansei is he's starting to be really consistent in what he's doing. For him, it's all about his mindset and how he's operating and how he's working. So as long as we just want to continue to put him in successful positions, and he just continues to be solid. I think a couple things go unnoticed though, but his protection up front, as well as his operations from snap to hold as well, have been clean. And so between that whole operation, even to the hurricane kick, the kick before the half last week, I thought that was really good by them. So that team is operating our team is operating at a really high level, which is enjoyable to see. And Kansei is just being consistent in what he's doing. So it's really good for us.
Hey, Coach, we talked about short yardage situations, and you guys executed on that tonight, especially that first touchdown. I think it was on 4th down. On play action, no less, right? You guys don't really want much run play action. So I know some of your staff were elevated in the role. So I guess kind of talk about the genesis and just the collaborative effort on offense with the coaches and the play call.
Sure. It really starts with Coach Anthony Arsenal. Having him here has really been a blessing for us, as well as, 2 offensive line coaches with Derek Favia and Winterhawk Lagden. They have been very consistent in getting those guys going. If our O-line is on par and is doing their job at a high level, it makes everything else a lot easier in the run game, the pass game, the protection, and all those things. And so that's been really good. And then Coach Asua, Coach Sheffield, guys that have been here for 4 years now, very consistent. we have a great continuity. I think with Coach Anthony coming in and just really getting us organized, dialed in, holding the standard in that room, has been a really big difference for us.
Hey, Coach. Luke Weaver had an amazing game tonight. Now, moving forward, how difficult is it for you to choose between quarterbacks, and could we expect Luke Weaver to play next week?
Yeah, we're going to get the guys ready, and they're going to play. But Luke made a great showing. Man, Luke was great in what he did, and we expect that from him. He prepares. He's a professional, and I really love our quarterback room. They have a unique tightness and closeness about them with Micah and Luke and Mar and Caleb. There's only really 4 of them. We don't hold a big room, and we kind of like it that way, so they can all experience getting coached and the tightness in the unit. And so they get a lot of attention, but they're great young men. But Luke is awesome. I mean, Luke did what he's supposed to do, and I'm very proud of him. And it's stuff that we talked during the week, and he put the time in, and it was like, hey, if you stay consistent, you stay calm, you're going to do just fine, and that's what he did.
Hey, Coach, talk a little bit about the defense, right? Solid first half, getting that takeaway for a score, holding the Bearcats to 6 points there. Just overall, talk about that performance by your defensive unit tonight. Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers now. 248 total yards, 159 in the air, 89 on the ground. For us in the first half, I thought it was a big momentum change. We had a fumble that killed the drive, and then we had a penalty that also killed another drive, and they came up with a big score, a big takeaway and score, which I thought was a big difference for us to kind of to get the momentum back, and then we ended up with a field goal going up by, 10 or so in the half, and so I thought they played. Like Hawaii Warrior football, and I'm very proud of them. And so got to keep it going.
And that was UH football head coach Timmy Chang and what he had to say following Saturday's win over Sam Houston 37-20. Again, up next, coming up this Saturday, Hawaii will host Portland State coming into town. And begs the question, though, we'll see who we'll see at quarterback. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into more football a little later and, of course, in hour number 2. But when we come back, I do want to get a chance to talk about some of the other NFL games that happened over the weekend, and also let Paul have a little therapy session, because that game, it was probably the first game of the day that was drunk on NFL Sunday between the Jets and Steelers. So we'll talk some NFL when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
What do you say?
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Breckton. You're listening and watching us on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and of course streaming live on our YouTube channel. And you guys can always listen, or Monday show, of course, watch on demand wherever you get your podcast, or of course via our website. And because you guys are tuning in, that is why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. And we are switching gears from UH football to the other beautiful thing that is NFL football, as we had our full slate. Of course, the best game of the week of NFL Week 1 is coming up this afternoon. We all know that. But it is time to talk about some NFL games that we saw over the weekend. And actually going back to last week, Friday, I mean, the Chargers beating the Chiefs 27-21 out there in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And Justin Herbert, man. And I love all of the jokes afterwards. It's like, oh, Justin Herbert, finally like dating somebody. And he's like turned into like that guy. But at the same time,
There were some very funny jokes on social media.
I think even the commentators were kind of referencing his relationship as well a little bit here and there. But he looked phenomenal. But he's always been a quarterback that I liked. Like, he was one of my favorite. That's why we kind of chuckled about it, where obviously ESPN analyst Ryan Clark continues to just dig his own grave. But one of the things,
foot in his mouth lately.
one of the things that tripped me out was how he talked about how Justin Herbert was like this horrible quarterback. And the only reason I saw it was because Braden Fehoko actually had retweeted and talked highly
he's been
of
active on social lately.
Talked about Justin Herbert and how like he didn't really have any like Hall of Famer like receivers. I'm like, dude, if you just watch him specifically as a quarterback and you see the way he throws the football and the velocity at which the football moves.
He's the most eye test quarterback that I've ever had, where I'm like, I watch him, he's just good.
He's
just good. Like, I look at him, I'm like, yeah, that's a franchise QB. Yeah. The throws he makes, the way he stands, the way he evades sacks sometimes. I'm like, I like him. I like Justin Herbert. Sue me. Sorry.
So, even though we've never played football, we kind of can, know what we're talking about a little bit.
I have no idea what I'm talking about, sadly.
Some of the other games, I mean, we got a lot of close ones that I never expected. I mean, the Browns hung in there with the Bengals. Bengals escaping.
They should have won.
By 1 point.
They missed a field goal.
Exactly. My special teams, guys.
God, I felt so bad. My buddy, so once again, I have a Browns fan buddy. He was as bad as the Jets' loss felt in the moment yesterday. There were actually a lot of really good things to take from that game. The Browns, I feel so bad for Browns fans, man. He was just crashing out. He's like, if it's not one thing, it's the other. And poor guy.
We all know that. That's why I'm trying to maintain my positivity I still have before the Monday night game tonight between, and we get to see what hopefully will be like a new look Bears under a new head coach. But again, we'll talk about that later. I mean, the Bucks just barely being able to escape the Falcons as well. So there was a lot of close games, and a lot of the spreads indicated that. Probably the most shocking game, well, at least not for me anyways. And I really felt bad on our quick picks where I did pick the Colts to beat the Dolphins. I did not know it was going to be a walloping like this. 33-8 over Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. That Colts defense was solid, and I don't want to take too much away from the Colts themselves, but the Miami Dolphins are a mess. And I was trying to, I wanted to be nice last week, and I basically just went with the Colts, but what I was envisioning would be the Dolphins is what I saw yesterday, and it's just unfortunate. Tyreek Hill continues to be a head case. Like, I just think they're just not there. Like, they're just mentally not there. Obviously, there's all the talk of Mike McDaniel and even Tua. Like, I don't know, Tua, I know we joked about it like over a year or so ago about spicy Tua, but I'm a football nerd, and I like to keep track of some of these media avails, and I'll go and watch, and I'll skim through some of the.
Did he have some moment, some flare up yesterday? I thought I saw.
I don't
some
know.
headline.
I didn't watch the post game, but I consistently, for the most part, at least skim through some of the game week ones, and I just have not liked his like demeanor in these post games. Like, it is very almost condescending feeling. Like, I don't know what it is.
Just not him type of thing.
Yeah, like he's like a little too spicy, too much of like he just doesn't want to be there addressing the media in a way. And he's someone, if he was my actual cousin, because we're kind of cousins, but if he was my actual cousin, like I would text him and be like, bruh, like
what's going on?
What's your problem? And
right.
And again, if he was my actual cousin, I'd be like, is it that time of the month, or like what's going on? But like,
what are we doing, bro?
So it's like if your leader, your quarterback is kind of like, I just think they're just a mess. They have talent, clearly. They got Tyreek Hill. Tua Tagovailoa, I still believe, is a solid quarterback. The Colts defense, though, was at another level, of course. But I just think the Miami Dolphins, they're just a mess, just as a team in general. Like I said, they have the talent, but if you just don't have things that are working synergistically with each other, like inside the locker room, I don't know if they'll figure it out. But yeah, you can't get beat that bad against the Indianapolis Colts. Again, they weren't playing the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills, for that matter, right? Like 33-8. Daniel Jones, say what you want, but hey, I mean, the guy, I think that's why Kyle went the other way, I believe, with Miami and our quick picks.
It was
he's
actually
like,
his exact.
Danny Dimes.
He goes, "What if I told you Daniel Jones was starting for the Colts?" Which, to be fair, most times you'd be like, "Oh God," but also I do encourage people to remember he did have almost a sabbatical after being released from the Giants, got an opportunity to go over to the Vikings and learn from who I think is probably the best quarterback coach in the NFL, like the best quarterback whisperer, if not the best, the top 3 in Kevin O'Connell. Look what he did with Sam Darnold, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Like, if there were something to take from him, it's like, well, this is a guy that won a playoff game as well, beat the Vikings. Funny enough, like there are things with him that he was a top 10 pick. He probably shouldn't have been, but he was. There's talent there. Either way, I thought you put it well. I thought it was kind of shocking. Like, I thought the Colts would win. I didn't think the Colts would dominate. Now, to be fair, it was also Jim Irsay Day, as obviously he passed away in the offseason relatively suddenly, and all of a sudden he's being put into the Ring of Honor now. A lot of emotions in week 1. Like, perhaps that plays a role in it. But like you said, it's more concerning of what you saw from the Dolphins than the Colts playing above their heads, where it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe we're all overreacting. The Dolphins just can't pass, run, play defense, tackle, do anything, coach. Maybe they'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or not. And maybe we see Mike McDaniel with Robert Saleh in Tennessee next year.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But Daniel Jones and with the Colts, though, very looking great there, but also the Dolphins looking very much like Daniel Jones's old team in the New York Giants, and just looking like a mess. The Giants falling to the Commanders. No surprise here, 21-6. Jaden Daniels will continue to do Jaden Daniels things.
Pretty good.
Yeah, one of the games that I was somewhat happy of seeing the result out there was between the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. We mentioned this last week, where I'm like, I want to see the Detroit Lions be awful, because then that means that their coordinators, when Ben Johnson and I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. The Jets head coach.
Oh, Aaron Glenn.
Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were the coordinators for Detroit, and since they depart, then the Lions essentially will go down. And yes, that's exactly what we saw against the Packers. The Packers coming out with a 27-13 win over the Lions. It seemed like it kind of translated, at least for your squad, Paul. I mean, the Jets and Steelers were very much a good game. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think it was Justin Fields that kind of said it the best. It's like the Steelers recruited a bunch of Hall of Famers and kept and paid as like future Hall of Famers, essentially. And Justin Fields was proud of the way that they performed there. And we talk about this a lot, especially in the NFL. You don't want to say that there's moral victories, but it was at least a good and solid football game. And of course, full disclosure, that's why I'll hand it over to you real quick to really talk about that game. And what you took away is from the parts where they went in for NFL Red Zone. I was like, you know what, Justin Fields looks like he's solid, and seeing the score go back and forth, because like Justin Fields said, hey, the Steelers, they're a solid team. They're well coached. I mean, how many times do we sing the praises of the Pittsburgh Steelers and how great of a coach that they have there? So I thought it was a good game entirely, just as a football fan, with not cheering for any team. Well, of course, cheering for the Jets a little bit for you, but It was a good game. Again, the Jets falling 34-32 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, back and forth. So now that we are, half a day, actually, I guess at this point, almost a full 24 hours removed from the game time, and we got a little time to calm down, though, Paul. What were you kind of seeing and maybe liking from the Jets? And maybe can the Steelers, with the old man Aaron Rodgers, be actually able to compete down the stretch?
So I'll say a couple of things here. One, yeah, the Steelers went all in this offseason. I mean, you saw as they just reworked Cam Hayward's contract. They extend TJ Watt. They trade for Jalen Ramsey. They bring in Aaron Rodgers, obviously. They trade for DK Metcalf. A lot of changes and a lot of good players on a Steelers team that is consistently one of the best coached units in the NFL. I was just encouraged by the Jets. Like, it's just, one, I had fun watching their offense. I couldn't tell you the last time that was the case.
Which is crazy because Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, the defense, I think will be fine. I think they'll figure it out. The secondary very much so let down the Jets. Sauce Gardner had a great day. Outside of Sauce Gardner, everybody else I thought was pretty horrific. Brandon Stevens, the big money signing for the Jets in the offseason at corner, bad introduction. And I think that's the most frustrating part about the loss yesterday for the Jets is not that anything happened that was unexpected or something that fans had not talked about. I have talked with many a Jets fan about confusion why Xavier Gibson's still on this team. He had a fun moment 2 years ago on the night that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. He's a fun story as an undrafted free agent, but and I'm sure he's a great guy. He's got 11 career fumbles. That's not a guy that should be returning kicks. And I don't think he should be on the Jets roster. I didn't think he should have made the 53 to begin with. And to be fair, he was in that position because the Jets' starting kick returner got injured in this game with a hamstring injury. So, all of a sudden he gets put into a role. He fumbles in that fourth quarter on a kickoff return after the Steelers score. And ultimately, that's when the Jets give up the lead. And most times that's when the Jets, everything falls apart. And that's when I was like, it was fun. Jets went down and scored again. It took a career-high 60-yard field goal to beat the Jets, and they still had a chance at the end of this game. Like, overall, I don't know how, if you're a Jets fan who wants to be positive, if you're a Jets fan who wants to see the good things with what's going on, if you're a fan who wants to be miserable, then you're always going to find ways to be miserable. But if you're a fan who legitimately was giving this team a chance, I don't know how you can look at a game like this and be like, man, this is going to be a terrible year. It's going to be what I thought it was going to be. It's a learning year. It's a growth year. If they can go 7-10, 8-9, I'd be pumped. Justin Fields looked better than my wildest dreams yesterday. I didn't think he could do that. It was great.
Yeah.
He was great. And this is an insane thing, and the Jets fans will know where this take is coming from, but if he can be almost a dollar store version, or the Jets offense can be like this dollar store version of what the Eagles were last year, I think every Jets fan signs up for that. If Justin Fields can be a clearance rack Jalen Hurts, I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. So just overall, there were good things in this game. It sucks to lose. I hated losing to Aaron Rodgers specifically. But I also knew as soon as the game was setting up in the way that it was, I was like, the script of this game is that Aaron Rodgers is going to have the game-winning, drive and whatever, and the Jets are going to lose and blah, 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 blah. It's how it always happens. I just was hoping that it wouldn't this time. And the Jets did a good job, too. It took a career high from one of the best kickers in the NFL to beat them. It was a solid game. Now, the question, similar to our Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, is how do you play next week? How do you go on, and how's your consistency? Do the Buffalo Bills? Or was this you're juiced up against a team for week one, you're trying to come out on your best foot, and then you lose and do the wheels fall off next week? Are you not able to find consistency? That's the question. But in terms of a head coaching debut for Aaron Glenn, I'd be excited for Ben Johnson. I'd feel pretty excited about getting these Lions
I
coordinators.
Hope so, like, that's why I'm just kind of the nerves are starting to build for me to watch the Monday Night Football game this afternoon here, because I just want, like any other fan of any team, you just hope that this will be the turnaround year. And again, with Chicago Bears, and as we were saying there, where Aaron Glenn having that nice debut, the Detroit Lions not looking very good against like a very solid Packers team, but they were not reminiscent to what we have seen in these past seasons from the Detroit Lions, which makes me feel even better that there is that value with the coordinators not being there anymore. But can there be a good transition from coordinator to head coach with Ben Johnson? Because if there's any franchise that can ruin your reputation and you having a chance to be a head coach, it would be the Chicago Bears. Because
it's ours.
I was like, it's already happened with Matt Nagy from the Chiefs coordinating position to being a head coach at Chicago just recently with Eberflus. So Ben Johnson, please turn it around, and maybe it'll be a little different, and we can see what Caleb Williams. But seeing to see some of the other scores, 49ers fans were definitely happy. They were able to squeak that one out in Seattle, too. I was kind of a little worried about that quick pick of mine, but they were able to do it 17-13. And so far I'm winning. So
you are.
This is nice to open up week one. Even though going into it after the games were playing out, I'm like, oh no, I didn't even want to look at what the picks that I picked was, because in my mind that I could remember, I'm like, am I going to get annihilated by Kyle? Because I know we went opposite ways for a lot of these games this week.
I think you're up 3 or 4 games right now going into the final game of the week. I have to
we both
make
picked
sure.
the same. We both picked Chicago for today, so either way, it's like I win this week.
You feel pretty good. What more could you really want from the first week of Quick Picks? And
it's a long season.
I was gonna say we'll keep track of it. That's why I got it down in the old notebook.
All right, we got to take a break, but we'll be back to close out our number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Closing it out here in hour number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Ku'ulei Agbayani. I almost said my full name again. My government.
I heard that. I was like, whoa. Slow down.
It's because I was hanging out with my parents yesterday, so I think maybe that's why it's like
Rubbed off.
But I wasn't in trouble, so I didn't get like the full name disclosure of my government name, Ku'ulei for anyone that's wondering, and I get tripped up with that sometimes. I don't know. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Yeah, speaking of hanging out with my parents, again, shout out to my parents once again for allowing me to get my crab fix yesterday. Yeah. So my mom, avid listener and viewer of the show, took to heart when I was talking about being very disappointed on my birthday and my heart being shattered and not having crab at the restaurant that we went to when my hopes and dreams and my birthday wish was to have crab, and they were out of it, and it was just, I was crushed. But of course, parents doing what they always do, and my mom was like, well, I will go take you to eat the all-you-can-eat or buffet at the Hawaii Prince out there for their Sunday brunch. So it was delicious. I think I got like three plate loads of the snow crab and just, plowed through all of it, and it was delicious. So again, thank you and shout out to my parents. It was a good time. Great brunch if you want snow crab, especially out on that side. I know a lot of other restaurants that people used to go to back in the day have since closed down. So that was really nice to kind of have that. Also, I do want to, because, I got word got passed on. I want to say a shout out to a Gary Hayakawa, apparently an avid listener of this show, and appreciates our takes and says, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. So
hell yeah.
That's pretty cool. So
I
shout out to Gary.
anybody who listens.
Exactly. I'm like, shout out to you, Gary, because yes, I got told that you appreciate the show and things that I have said. And shocking that sometimes we kind of know, well, we think we know what we're talking about. And then when we see it actually happen in the games that we talk about, it makes us definitely feel really good. Like seeing Luke Weaver do just fine against Sam Houston. That's what we talked about. We'll get back into more University of Hawaii football conversation to start off hour number 2 and let you actually hear from what Luke Weaver had to say in that post game. Also, women's volleyball coming out with that sweep yesterday, and essentially because they swept, were able to take the title of the Outrigger Invitational. Again, people were just like freaking out. And I felt like Paul and I were the voice of reason and said, hey, you guys, we don't have to freak out yet. And sure enough, because the athletes and the talent that is on this Rainbow Wahine volleyball squad, they were able to show out for the last couple of games, get the winning streak going. Hey. And as they get prepared to continue their non-conference slate. So it was very fun to kind of see a lot of these wins come through as we anticipated. But of course, that big win for Hawaii over Sam Houston, and now going to take on another team that is probably, and I feel bad for saying this because, of course, John Keawe Sangapolu-Tele.
I will say it so you
bad.
don't have to. They are worse than Sam Houston. It's not even close. Portland State, if Hawaii loses this game, we need to have massive conversations.
Yes.
And regardless of who starts at quarterback, they could start me at quarterback this week, and it should be a massive victory for them. And I don't mean to say that disrespectfully.
No.
By the way, John Keawe Sangapolu-Tele and the Vikings, good job for them. They finally scored this past weekend. 50-20, they still lost. Or at least it was 50-20 the score when I checked at that point. This is not a football team that should be able to really, really compete with Hawaii. It'll be nice to welcome John home. I hope that he has
homecoming game.
I hope that he has a nice enough night. I'm glad that they scored so that we won't be the first ones to give up points to them this season. That was a big worry of mine. That's about it, though. Yeah. This should be a win next week or this week.
Yeah, this week already.
3-1, dude. Holy.
Woo!
Chance at it.
Chance at it.
Chance at it.
So again, I had to have won on Saturday, which felt good. Again, 37-20, convincing win over the visiting Sam Houston and go into a game like Paul said, and he was good because he said it, that they're bad. They're worse.
I'll say it. I'll be
than
the mean
Sam
one.
Houston. All right, but we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get back into recapping this past weekend's game against Sam Houston and let you hear from the quarterback Luke Weaver when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brackton. You're listening and watching on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and of course streaming live on our YouTube channel as we do this and every Monday. You can watch or listen back on demand wherever you get your podcasts, or of course via our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. Continue to get those numbers up. We appreciate you. You can chime in anytime via the live chat or text us at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481 if you want to get in on the conversation. And we know Felipe and Caesar like to go back and forth in the entire YouTube chat as well. And Alan Mia kind of wanting to text in and ask me about how my team's going to do later on today, that being the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings for the Monday Night Football Showdown. I will reserve any opinion and hopes and dreams for what this will. I will only have hope, and we will see what happens. And if anything, maybe we will. It won't be a crash out tomorrow morning. Hope that's all I'm hoping for, is that they come out, put on a solid game. Obviously, I'm dreaming big, and maybe Caleb Williams just needed a really good offensive mind to be his head coach. Bless you. Or I don't know if that was a cough. I don't know. But
First one was a sneeze. The second one was a cough.
Bless you anyways. And then Kyle just texting me that when we are in Vegas, then we can go to Wicked Spoon, I think he said, for the buffet. And there's the crab all day. So, yeah, I mean, I'm down. I can eat crab all day.
You're getting all the crab that you could ever possibly want.
This is my dream. And, yeah, that was an awesome way to cap off the week. So.
By the way, this in answer to Alan, not answer to Alan's question, but to kind of build off your point, like looking at these games, I think if I had to rank the games where most likely to take a survivor pick versus least likely to take a survivor pick, this would probably be in my bottom 3 games of the week in terms of picking who's going to win. I have no idea what the Vikings are going to look like with J.J. McCarthy out there. I have no idea what the Chicago Bears are going to look like now with Ben Johnson leading them and Caleb Williams under his tutelage. I have no idea how each of these defenses will be this year. I'm sitting here, I'm very interested. I couldn't even begin to tell you what's going to happen, though. So, between that, Baltimore and Buffalo, and I'm trying to think what the other game was, but those are
Niners Seahawks was one I wasn't even going to
Niners
attempt.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Atlanta also was one for me. So I guess I had 4. I had a Mount Rushmore.
Tell you what, though, thanks a lot, Denver, for making me sweat it out a little bit. Man,
God.
Denver, I thought they looked bad. That game was ugly, but Denver only leading by a point, I think, against the Tennessee Titans and a brand new rookie quarterback. I'm like, what is going on? And I don't even have I didn't play the Circa Survivor type of thing. This is just our bragging rights one that we have for our Hawaii Sports Radio Network colleagues and friends.
Arguably worth more.
It's probably worth a lot more than any monetary stuff. And I'm like, am I going to be out in week 1? Which wouldn't be, wouldn't be the first time.
I was sweating my pick, dude. I had Arizona over New Orleans because I'm sitting here and all right, a little look into my strategy. Just a little. I am using the old Jets of Adam Gase era type of strategy. I might just pick against the Saints every week. I might just pick whoever's playing the Saints for the most part.
Yep, that was what I was doing a couple years ago with picking against the Jets. So you're right. By the way, if you guys are playing Survivor, here you go, a little cheat sheet for you guys via Circa, and it's pretty. Oh wait. It's pretty cool because it kind of makes it easy to see all of the games ahead and highlighting which games are the primetime games and whatnot. So it helps you kind of plot out your Survivor stuff via Circa Resort and Casino. So,
That's
or
awesome.
Circa Sports. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
I was wondering what that was. I saw that over there.
So it makes it a lot easier. And I will share it, and I'm sharing it with all of you beautiful people, again, that you can screenshot. I don't know how clear it comes out actually on the YouTube, but I'm hoping the thought was there that if you watched YouTube, you will know that, and you play Survivor, that we have just shared this cheat sheet with you via Circus Sports. If we didn't, I don't know, leave a message in the live chat. Maybe we'll put a clear photo on it in post-production or something. But either way, getting back into, University of Hawaii football, I did say we were going to hear from Luke Weaver as the Rainbow Warriors were able to come out with that nice win on Saturday, 37-20 over the visiting Bearcats of Sam Houston. And of course, Luke Weaver finishing off 27 for 43 for 294 yards, three tutties, an interception, and then just got sacked a few times. But it's okay. The win is a win. It's going to happen. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. And again, Luke also netting 26 rushing yards as well. So doing some damage with his feet. And shout out to his family that were able to make it here. I believe Christian Shimabuku posted a really nice photo on his Twitter where it looked like his mom and his sister that Luke Weaver was saying hi to after the game. So that was really cool to see that success. And it wasn't really a surprise, I would say, for Paul and I. We were kind of singing his praises going into or last week, whereas that if, again, Micah playing was a game time decision, everyone saw he was not suited up in the beginning of the game, and I was not worried. I was like, Luke Weaver is more than adequate. It was kind of surprising to not see Nick Senecal, and we mentioned earlier Jackson Harris, but this team was able to do just fine with a lot of their main pieces and should be able to repeat it as well on Saturday. Now, the question does become, do you continue to rest Micah Alejado? Again, from the media standpoint, we still do not know exactly what the injury. It's kind of giving like Laura Beeman vibes where we just don't know what's happening. And
you'll never really get the answer because it's been reported that it's a high ankle sprain, that it's an ankle sprain, that it's an ankle, that it's a foot injury, that it's a bone bruise, that he got stepped on. The guy might not even have a foot. Who knows? I don't know at this point, We
don't know what's in that shoe. But nonetheless, especially going into this Saturday, Luke Weaver, should he be the one that has to get the start again, I believe he'll be just fine against a Portland State team who is, by all accounts, even worse than Sam Houston that came in. But without further ado, here is what our starting quarterback from this past week, Luke Weaver, had to tell the media following that nice win on Saturday.
Yeah, getting the reps all week was a huge advantage for me, just to be able to get the chemistry going, get the communication going, and just feeling comfortable. So all the reps all week really helped.
Congrats on the win. Did you have any of those extra butterflies today, like knowing this game was going to be yours?
Just pretty standard butterflies. I mean, ever since I was in youth, I get a little anxiety, a little butterflies for the game, so it was just pretty normal. And then once I catch that first snap, I feel all good.
Hey Luke, congratulations. I got a couple for you. The first one, right after you guys did the alma mater, looked like you went to greet your family on the side. Did they fly in specially for this game, thinking that you would start it, and what was that moment like for you?
Yeah, I was very blessed to be able to have that was my mom and my sister were able to come to the game today. So yeah, they got the news that I might be able to get in the game this week, so they made flights right away to try to watch.
Seems like you and Tom have built a really good connection. Being on the second team, how much did it help? Being with him every practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Tama talked a lot, especially going through the spring, just getting all the reps together. I love Tama. He's a great guy, so we hang out outside of football too. So, yeah, building that chemistry has been great, especially since we're getting in-game reps together now.
Yes.
Could you speak to just the security blanket that is Pofele Ashlock and how much he helped tonight just to kind of push along even late in that second half?
Yeah, I mean, he's a dog. That's what we got. We put him back out there for a reason. Just Five's going to go score a touchdown. That's simple as that. So it's great. He's got all the confidence in the world, and I know he's going to make a play if you put it there out for him. So it's great having a guy like that on your team.
Late in that fourth quarter, you guys could have settled for that field goal, but you make that decision. You guys are going to go for the touchdown. Was that decision in the huddle, like, let's step on their throat, let's just finish it?
Yeah, for sure. Like Coach Chang was talking about just the two possessions, going up more than two possessions would just really try to put the game away and just put it in our playmakers' hands, and then was able to execute it.
Kind of going off Brian's earlier question, how many family and friends do you think were watching back home, like on a stream or something like that? And have you been able to hear from them yet?
Yeah, I'm blessed with a very, very great fan base, especially at home. I already was on FaceTime with my dad and my brother on the field, so I just checked my phone real quick, and all my old teammates and a lot of my friends have texted me and stuff. So it was very cool having all the support of my old teammates, friends, coaches, all that. Very blessed.
So Luke, I don't mean to bring this up, but after that pick six, you guys kind of centered yourself and drove down the field to score. So how did you kind of like calm down and kind of compose yourself to go score?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of our team's biggest emphasis right now is just one snap and clear. Can't let the last play affect the next play. You just have to move on, whether it's good or bad. And in that sense, just had to move on from that pick six and keep the game going.
Luke, talk about, kind of going forward now. You guys staying at home to take on Portland State, and what you were able to show tonight. If your number gets called next week, talk about the progression and what needs to get done this week going into Portland State.
Yeah, like Coach Chang said, just do the same thing. Enjoy the night, but starting tomorrow, we get right back to business, start recovering, and then start mentally getting prepared for this week, and just treat it as a new week, 0-0.
There you go. Back to business this week, as that was UH football quarterback Luke Weaver. And again, we don't know yet. I don't think we will know until game time against Portland State which quarterback we see there. But by all accounts, I'll say this the entire week that no matter who's starting there, I think if it's going to be Luke, from what we saw against Sam Houston, like he is more than adequate to lead Hawaii to victory. And Paul mentioned it kind of at the ending of hour number one, that if Hawaii, even with Luke Weaver, even if Marmar started, this Portland State team, again, if I feel it's like a little disrespectful, but just because, John Keave Sangapolutele is the quarterback there, but we're calling a spade, and Portland State is not a good football team. So Hawaii, whoever's, like Paul mentioned, he's like, he could play quarterback back. I mean, I could probably play quarterback back there. And Hawaii, with all the other weapons that they have, especially defensively as well, they should be able to beat Portland State this Saturday. But it does pose that question. If I feel like whatever it is, even if it's remotely painful in that ankle or foot or whatever it is that is wrong with Micah Alejado.
You step the wrong way and feel even the slightest twinge, you sit him.
Yes. So no, like if he is just like Paul said, like even little bit of pain, do not play Micah. Luke Weaver is more than fine to get in there and start
and goes
with your toe. Exactly.
When he gets up in the morning, sit him.
Sit him.
Just this week, he doesn't need to be Mr. Tough Guy this week. And I know, once again, you're saying this, and I agree. Like, this is not to be disrespectful to Portland State. It's an FCS squad, and realistically speaking, we see a lot of P4 opponents, even G6, G5 opponents, beat the daylights out of the non-elite FCS schools, because it's similar in a sense sometimes to when we play up against the stronger P4 schools, right? Sometimes the athletes just aren't as big, and sometimes that means you get overwhelmed. I mean, I said it before. This past weekend against North Dakota was the first time that Portland State has scored this season. And they lost 50-20. The least amount of points that they gave up this year in a game was 42 to Tarleton State. Like, this has not been a good unit to begin the year. It is not worth risking the long-term health of Micah Alejado with conference play right around the corner, especially when we just saw what Luke Weaver can do. Now, I will say this. Luke Weaver did have his left knee wrapped in this game in the second half. If you go back and watch, that wasn't the case in the first half. We did a bad job in asking about that post-game. I meant to do that, and somehow it slipped my mind. But he seemed fine. I mean, he played the rest of the game outside of one snap for Marmar, and I think that was just a designed run to, anyway. There's just no reason to put Micah in harm's way this weekend. Just isn't. At least in my opinion. Like, I should qualify everything with that. Like, this is all my opinion.
Yeah, and that's an opinion we've been giving since last week, that we had that confidence in Luke Weaver from just what we saw in that Arizona game, of course, and then, of course, what we've been able to take away in the preseason time when we got to go to practices. Like, the guy can throw. Now I'm glad you guys could really see him play a full game, hence giving into the fact that we were very confident that he could do enough to. Now, I still think there are some things that Micah Alejado, there's a reason why we're still confident that there is no quarterback battle question. Even though we saw Luke do the things that he did, Micah is just on another level when it comes to his situational awareness, and a little bit can make certain throws that I haven't been able to see from Luke Weaver yet. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I don't think there's any quarterback controversy once Micah is healthy / when hopefully healthy by next week. against Fresno State. Like if Micah is 100% healthy and you're prepping for Fresno State, Micah Alejado is going to be your QB1. Like even if, again, Luke Weaver appears to ball out against Portland State, it's still he better look like.
I hope he balls
wait a
out
minute.
against them.
He should ball out against Portland State, especially if he looked the way he did against Sam Houston. Portland State, he should be able to ball out. But there is definitely, at least again, in my opinion, going into practice next week, if both guys are 100% healthy, I still believe that Micah Alejado, like without question, is going to be QB1 as it should. We saw what he can do. We saw what he could do on a bum ankle against a P4 opponent on the road, right? Like when he couldn't even do some of the bigger throws, couldn't take heavy steps on that right foot. Like Micah Alejado is just different. And I know we've been singing his praises going into this. So, but kind of like when I think about the Chicago Bears, I'm like, it does feel very nice to know that you have two solid quarterbacks. Yeah. And I don't care if we're selfish, but it should make Hawaii fans just feel nice that, hey, we got a solid backup in Luke Weaver and someone where when you have these situations can go into these games and win us football games. And that's the main thing.
Hawaii's had a history, and this is from me talking to people who are much more knowledgeable than I. Hawaii's had a history of solid backup quarterbacks. This is
true. This is true.
Not like a new thing where a guy comes in and produces in this offense. I mean, like, we've seen it before. So I was glad that it was just a continuation of getting back to what Hawaii can be, what we've seen them be at times where it's a high-flying offense regardless of who you put in at quarterback, and it only can go up when you have your QB1 back. And like you said, I don't think anything Luke Weaver does is going to make it like, oh, man, there's a QB controversy. Is Micah really the starter? Like, Luke is good. Micah is the start. We saw what he did last year versus New Mexico. Like those are the opponents that we play in conference season, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the Stanford, it's not the Arizona, and even against those guys, he was producing, like you said, at not 100%. So I'm excited to see that, but I'm really happy we've got a guy who can fill in his place and win you football games. That's just such an uncommon luxury for teams to have where, I mean, how many teams look at it and they're like, well, our starting quarterback's down. That was a fun season, guys.
Yeah.
Like, too many. Too many programs have that outlook. That's fortunately not where Hawaii sits.
Yeah, and a credit to Luke Weaver because should Micah be healthy and they go into whatever's happening this week with game prep, or if they go into next week, again, having a two quarterbacks or the QB1 being healthy, Luke Weaver, by all accounts, he's just a good dude with a great attitude too, right? Like it's not like he's going to think that he automatically should get the QB1 spot over Micah Alejado. So, I mean, shout out to Luke and shout out again to his family that they were able to see him play. His mom and sister making the trip because obviously that means got a lot of playing time at the JUCO level, but it must feel nice for that guy to get a true FBS win under his belt for sure. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get into a little bit more college football talk and some fun games and some fun upsets. Obviously, if you're fans of the teams that got upset this week and not so fun. But either way, football is back, baby. So we'll continue a little bit more UH talk and talk just what other games were kind of piqued our interest in the college football landscape when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is every weekday morning from 8 to 10. We appreciate you guys, and we're going to continue our talk about college football in just a little bit. We'll also get into some Rainbow Wahine volleyball discussion and give a little shout out to cross country as well. But taking a look at some of these scores that happened over the weekend, I do want to make sure we give a shout out, and I did this on social media as well, that a shout out to Coach Smitty, Hawaii football alum, a former player, and of course former coach here under Nick Rolovich. But Coach Smitty, now the head coach out there at Ohio, and got his first win as the head coach of the Bobcats over West Virginia in the weekend, 17-10. I don't think I've ever cheered so hard watching Ohio football before in my life, but I really, really wanted Coach Smitty to get that win. And I think on the broadcast, they said it was like the first time Ohio beat West Virginia since like the 40s or something crazy like that. Now, they didn't play a whole lot. It's not like they play every single year.
Still.
But nonetheless, I think this was maybe like their 5th or 6th time ever playing. But still, a win is a win. So shout out again to Coach Smitty for getting that win. Again, first one there as head coach. I was like, we got a text. This is Nevada and Colorado State. I'm kind of curious. What does Nevada and Colorado State have in common? ?
They're bad.
Both didn't take their first lead till less than 2 minutes left in the game and nearly gave up game-winning touchdowns to FCS teams. Sac State had 2 touchdowns taken away. Yeah, that was crazy. They had 2 touchdowns taken away in the final 40 seconds due to penalties, while Northern Colorado had 1 taken away with 30 seconds left via review. Mountain West not looking good to start the year. And we mentioned it before. There's going to be a lot of parity in the Mountain West, and that's why keep Micah Alejado healthy when we go into the Mountain West play.
Correct. Thank you to this texter for just giving me a beautiful segue into that Colorado State game. Because holy cow, did they screw over Northern Colorado in that game. Koo, did you see the ending? Did you see that play? Oh, how do you turn that over? And people are going to be like, oh, well, don't you know the rules? Don't you know the catch rules? You got to have it all the way to the ground and through the catch and survive the ground and this, that, and the other thing. Here's my argument back to you. It was called a touchdown on the field. I did not see, I looked for every single replay that I could possibly find as slowed down, whatever it may be. I could not find one replay that gave conclusive evidence to me that the ball hit the ground, was dislodged, came out of his hand. He didn't have his hands under. Like, I don't know how you overturn that call. Like, when it was on the field called a touchdown, I was stupefied, stunned, shocked, whatever S words you want to use. It was stupid that they overturned it. I couldn't believe it. I felt awful for Northern Colorado. Would have probably been, if not the biggest win in program history, damn near close. And it got taken away from them. An incredible, and you want to talk about a chocolate wasted, drunk game. Oh my God, that game was insane. And then yes, good call by you. Sac State played very, very well, very much so. Gave a scare to Nevada. So this is what we were talking about going on into the year, though. Hawaii very sneakily could compete for a Mountain West berth in the championship, or maybe even more, where Boise State is clearly not the Boise State of last year. Still a quality program. Don't get me wrong, but Boise State not the same. UNLV, we'll talk about that game as well against UCLA. UCLA is still kind of,
I was like, or is South Florida just really legit?
South Florida
because
is really good.
There's the one that they are the ones that beat Boise State again. Won
it's the Hawaii Bowl.
Yeah, Hawaii Bowl last year, but they beat Boise State, where it got us thinking, like, is Boise State not that great? And again, Boise State did have a solid win this weekend, 51-14 over Eastern Washington, but South Florida was one of the games I was going to mention with the upsets, and they upset number 13 Florida 18-16. So is it more of South Florida being super like legit and not necessarily Boise State? But we will see how it plays out. Shout out to San Jose State for again making me look good and that they would cover against Texas. 38-7 was the final score, but I think when we mentioned it, it was like the spread was like 36.5 or something. And I'm like, that's even Kyle had kind of like said the same thing when he joined me for quick picks. That was kind of like our college football pick is like, that's a lot of points for Texas, especially not exactly knowing Arch Manning and how that's all playing out there in Texas. But yeah, that Nevada game. And Sacramento State is a solid team, again, coached now by Brennan Marion, who used to be at UNLV and Hawaii. Nevada, though, squeaking by 20-17. But these FCS teams are, like, in my opinion, a lot better and more quality, that being Sac State and Northern Colorado, than how we were talking about Portland State coming into town, right? Like, these days, especially with NIL and really good coaching, I feel like the FCS has brought up a lot of the quality of their football program. So, but there are certain situations, like with Portland State, where some of them are just really bad. Sac State putting a lot of money into their athletics programs and bringing in all these coaches to elevate them. So now, does that mean I think they were so good that Nevada like barely escaped for their lives for a reason because Sac State is that good? Right now, no. I just think Nevada, too, isn't that great. But Colorado State, lucky to escape Northern Colorado 21-17. UNLV having a convincing win over UCLA 30-23.
Tried to blow it late.
UNLV undefeated at 3-0. I think UCLA, I don't know if that says more about UNLV and how good and competitive they are, or if UCLA, man.
Who do you think their next head coach is going to be?
Exactly.
I feel bad for saying that because their coach is like a fine enough guy, but he did kind of rub me the wrong way because he did the whole like restricting media access thing.
Ugh.
And it's like, oh, well, this is
Deshaun
what
Foster?
Yeah, and this is like what winning programs do. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's what losers do.
Yeah.
If you don't want the media there, it's because, or if you are restricting that level of access, it is. Yeah. Anyway, another game that I had my eye on because we played against them, obviously, was Stanford. They got to go away from Ben Gulbranson, dude.
Oh, he's so bad.
He's a nice guy. I've heard.
I mean, Hawaii already made him look bad, but
Yeah.
he is he's bad.
I've heard a ton of a nice guy, Dr. Ben, blah, 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 blah. They cannot play him. He's horrible. BYU absolutely smoked them. That was a game, and BYU's defense is phenomenal. Like that is a unit that we will end up talking about throughout this entire college football season because of the performances that they'll be able to put in. I know Caesar's probably going nuts right now. I should toss
Kalani.
I was gonna say toss Kalani Sitake in there as well. But no, BYU they were also a team that put the smackdown on somebody else. So it's just, I don't know. Stanford's in a rough spot. I don't know how you don't play Elijah Brown at this point, the redshirt freshman, former 4-star. Like, it just clearly is not working with Gulbranson, and like, you'd rather build for the future, even if Reich isn't there after this year. Like, Luck is going to be, and you'd hope, unless he's bad, you'd hope Elijah Brown's going to be out there. Did I see Caesar said something about Kalani Sitake dancing? Did you see that?
No.
I did not see that either. I'll have to look it up during the break. see if it was as good, because he was saying that he's the best dancer in college football or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check it out.
I don't know. I don't even know where to start Googling that. I can find
I'm just gonna go on Twitter and I'm just look up
just
Twitter.
trying to search stuff.
Kalani Sitake dancing.
Other upsets, I think there was kind of like that aura going on at Mississippi State. The post game kind of giving, I think it was like their head coach giving like the Joe Burrow vibes when Joe Burrow won the national championship. But Mississippi State over Arizona State in that upset 24-20.
Boy, did you see Coach Dillingham's? Was it his presser yesterday or something, dude? He was livid after this loss, and like it was the way that a coach should be. Talking about his the practices, they're like, yeah, we had a good practice for a bad team. We had an average practices for an average team, and if that's what they want to be, then we can be that, guys. And it was like one of those moments where I was like, I respect that is actual accountability rather than whatever the hell the Florida coach did after this week, because. That Florida game that you mentioned as well, like maybe USF is that good. They also benefited from an incredibly, just embarrassingly stupid and immature penalty from a defensive lineman from Florida who did the Jalen Carter and just spit at an offensive lineman and ended up losing his team the game. Like it's just one of those. I'll get into a whole diatribe on that, so I won't go into it further. But it's like that is why I really respect Kenny Dillingham, because he is like, when you talk about head coach material, that's a guy who demands the best out of his players while also still being like the player's best friend. Like he is their number one fan and also their number one hater. And I love that. It is awesome. Last game before I cut myself loose. Jaron Keave Songapolotele is still just that guy. He's just that guy. He didn't even play that well this week for the first half.
Well, he didn't look like that guy this past weekend.
He didn't play that well for the first half, and he just turned it on the second half and whatever, and then gave a great presser in the post game where he's talking about it's my fault, not the receiver's fault. And listen, it was his fault. He was throwing some BS in that first half, some sidearm, Joe Schmo, hot dog, whatever. And he figured it out, and it ended up being a big win for Cal. So keeping tabs on my boy.
Jaron Keave Songapolotele. A couple of other interesting scores here. Baylor able to get a big win in overtime over a ranked opponent in SMU. 48-45, which was another interesting game here. And then Michigan. We'll see what happens with Michigan. And now they're going to have like their interim coach that came over from Charlotte, I believe, that was like had the worst, like a barely bad record at Charlotte. So Michael Escaro and him for the Michigan fandom. We'll see what happens as they fell to Oklahoma 24-13. But anyways, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will switch gears entirely and get to some Rainbow Wahine volleyball discussion as never worried. We did not, at least in this studio anyways, we were not worried, and we were happy to see the Rainbow Wahine find success and win the Outrigger Invitational yesterday after their sweep. So we'll talk about that when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. Let's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and of course, streaming live on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in, and you guys can text in or chime in on the live chat. But anyway, and however you consume our content, that is how and why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. We've been talking a lot about football, obviously, just having the full slate of college and NFL being back. But as I keep saying, the most important game of NFL Week 1 happens this afternoon between the Bears and Vikings. But wanted to give some love to the Rainbow Wahine volleyball team, as we did just have a texter that kind of texted about that with Rainbow Wahine volleyball and the sweep over... Oh my gosh, I just had my score thing. Over St. John's. I was about to say St. Mary's, but that's who soccer played, and they lost 3-0 to St. Mary's.
So not
yeah.
St. Mary's.
But over St. John's again, that scored 25-20, 25-9, and 25-13. So shout out to the Rainbow Wahine, as here's the photo via Hawaii Athletics with them claiming the outrigger title. And again, I think if it went to, from what the broadcast on Spectrum said, if it went to 4 sets, there would be some like percentage or whatever to calculate whether or not they would win the outrigger title. But because they were able to finish it in that sweep over St. John's, they won it outright, and they had swept Utah Valley on Friday night after, people were starting to get worried after that Friday or that Thursday match in which Hawaii lost to a not good San Jose State team in 5 sets. And I feel like it was maybe Paul and I were the only ones that were still calm. Like, it's still early. We see the athleticism, and boy, did we see a lot of the athleticism over the weekend and yesterday against that St. John's squad. Chalet Reed with 9 kills and Victoria Leyva 13 digs. We're seeing a lot from Tyler Reese-Mane, and I kind of wanted to share this fun clip with you guys that happened during the post game, and it was a question asked, of course, by our Michael Liscaro, and it kind of made reference to something that Tyler Reese-Mane's dad had posted. And if you guys don't know, her dad is James Mane, who is a comedian here in Hawaii, a local comedian. So I guess he had posted something on social media. And of course, in Michael fashion, he had to ask about that in the post game. So here it is, and you'll hear from Tyler Reese-Mane and also Chalet Reed.
Since we're talking about serving, Tyler, I saw your dad posted on Instagram called you guys the Samoan Air Force. You guys had 11 aces combined. Can we dub that a thing, the Samoan Air Force, and just kind of talk about your guys' culture and roots?
Okay, guys, I'm always. Cut this out, okay? Sorry. Yeah, my dad did post that. The Samoan Air Force. I don't even know what to say about it. Like, so we can definitely coin that. We'll just keep going with that. Yeah. We have this little handshake that we do. I don't know if you guys notice every time we're on the court together. So that's another thing we have going for us. But you guys almost hit heads too. Hey, but it worked out in the end. We just needed to connect on a different level. To reset after, which we did. So. These two together gives me a big headache. But a big smile at the same time. But you're right. With our culture, I think, I don't know, for me at least, it's just important, like, going out there and representing something that's bigger than us. And yeah, I think also representing the places that we're from. Like, I'm from Iowa, she's from Wahine, and we have like really big support communities and stuff. And yeah, I think going out there and just reminding ourselves, like, we're here for a bigger purpose, and we're not just playing just for us, but we're also playing for the state of Hawaii.
I mean, I think it's a big privilege. I mean, being able to represent our culture and our state itself, and being able to have that connection with Ty. I mean, we are cousins, so I think that's really special, and I'm grateful that we're able to be able to represent that.
You guys are cousins?
Yeah, we are.
Well, like 10 cousins?
No.
I'm just joking.
Like just cousins. Like some more cousins, that's what
So actual cousins. It's like, I think we established that too as the Samoan Air Force, and that being Tyler Reese-Mane and Chalet Reed again. But just having that connection, or at least according to Robin, just sometimes them together. And this is true coach speak. Like, them together, it's like give Robin headache. But obviously we saw what they can do on the court, and seeing just this team look that much better and definitely limit the mistakes, because, I mean, Chalet Reed, like, it's not like haven't been talking about her athleticism and her power since we first saw her play ball. I mean, it's just like she looks incredible. And once they kind of, get things like limit all the errors and get things on track, they still got to get a little bit better between like the setter, chemistry and all of that stuff. But my, oh my, exactly what we were saying last week. I mean, they have the athleticism. The athleticism stuff is hard to teach and hard to elevate, right? Like in such short time, everything else can be coached. And that's what we are starting to see over this weekend. And glad Hawaii could come out with that outrigger title. Again, after that sweep over St. John's and Utah Valley on Friday, following that yet another disappointing loss. But this is the type of team that we will get. They will have a big test coming up in a couple of weeks when they go on the road again. But at least fans now can relax.
You knew how ridiculous it was and how I felt about it in the moment. Like it was 4 matches. And one of them was against the team who, by the way, just received top 25 votes. Like Marquette just received votes in the latest AVCA poll. So I don't know why we're sitting here acting like, oh, they've played nobody. They play nobody. Was the loss against San Jose State disappointing? Yes, they were also up 2-0 in that. They shouldn't have lost it. Mm-hmm. They had a bad night, and sometimes that happens when you have a rough start to a year. You just see things start to downward spiral. Then they beat the life out of a Utah Valley team who I thought might win the whole damn thing. And it's just what I have an issue with in general, and I won't get on fans in general because I do understand it. I do understand being so passionate about your team and having high standards and all of these things because trust me, if you guys saw me behind the scenes rooting for my team, you'd probably have me institutionalized, okay? That being said, please relax. Please relax, right? We weren't even done with the first 2 tournaments of the year. Our best player is a freshman who is so good. Like you said, Shalay Reed is beyond her years in school. She looks like a grown woman out there. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. And the improvement of Tyler Reese-Mane, who, I mean, came back from the offseason, just I don't want to say completely different player, but just an incredibly productive player for this team. To have her as a depth piece, not only like alongside Stella Ademi, Brie Gunderson's turning things on like crazy. Are they going to serve like they did last night every single game? No, not even close. Honestly, I can't believe that they served the way that they did last night. What is it, 15 aces, 16 aces?
Yeah.
It was stupid.
That seconds, I couldn't believe that they
beat 25-9.
Yeah, they couldn't even score 10 points. I was like, wow, that's impressive.
Now, this is a team that clearly we should fire the entire coaching staff. Clearly, they suck. They aren't ever going to figure. Oh, wait. They might have figured things out a little bit, and like maybe it just takes a little bit of extra time.
They look pretty darn good.
It's so ridiculous to me. You know it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. Before we go to break, and like I mentioned, they're still going to have their hands full coming up. They do play Portland this week, Thursday and Friday. Both games 7:00 p.m. at the Banco Arena at Stan Sheriff Center. You guys can watch it on Spectrum OC16. But when they go on their road trip next week is what will be very interesting to see how they fare on that because they do play at Stanford. So this is the Stanford tournament. They play at Stanford, and then they also play UCLA and Texas State. And Texas State has put forth a really good women's volleyball program for the last few years. So that will be a true test. So glad that they could kind of now get over the hump, get a winning streak going. We'll see how they fare against Portland State, but I'm just happy for them that they could see their ability come together and like put together a couple of wins. Hopefully they can string together 2 more wins this week against Portland because you just at least need that extra confidence going on this type of road trip to play a lot higher level of opponents for sure with Stanford, UCLA, and Texas State before heading the Big West Conference portion of the schedule starting on Friday, September 26th against UC Riverside and then UC Davis that same weekend as well here at home. All right, before we go to break, I did want to make sure we give a little love to our friends of cross country. They opened up their season as well and won the Big Wave Invite at Friday morning at Kapiolani Park. So the Rainbow Wahine took home the team title at the Big Wave for the 5th consecutive year, finishing with a team score of 25 points to best runner-up Pacific by 12 points. Sophomore and last year's Big West Freshman of the Year, Lucy Milliner won the individual title with a 4K time of 13 minutes, 57.3 seconds, as UH runners claimed 6 of the top 10 spots there at the Big Wave Invitational. And just for all of our cross-country fans, they've hosted, this was the first time that they hosted the Big Wave at Kapiolani Park, but UH will also host the Big West Men's and Women's Cross Country Championships in the same location on October 31st. So Halloween morning, it'll be out there for the Big West. So again, shout out to cross country for being able to get it done. And Pacific, we had our one HPU guy that was able to finish amongst the top 10 because I guess in the men's side, Pacific just like wiped out everybody and like took 9 spots out of the top 10. I guess they're a pretty good cross country program as well. But we're going to take a break though. We will be right back to close things out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht closing it out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel. Got our text from our friend out there at Boise. Well, a couple of texts I want to mention because we were talking about backup quarterbacks and Luke Weaver. And even though Luke Weaver looks solid and if he plays this week, he'll look even better against a not so good Portland State team. But there is no quarterback controversy, and kind of similar to our texter agreeing with that, Alejado is the clear number one, and we're lucky to have more than a capable backup that we can go to as needed, exactly. But also saying that people forget that we needed Gronke to back up Brennan to go undefeated in 2007, and you were mentioning it earlier, Paul, how you were talking to people around, and we've had a history of solid backup quarterbacks. And I guess by all accounts, that was the same last season, but obviously we didn't want to use Micah Alejado's red shirt.
Tried our best to not burn that.
It wasn't the same situation. Yes, the talent was there in terms of a backup quarterback with Micah Alejado backing up Braden Shager, but a little bit different because we did not want to burn the red shirt. But it is nice, at least for this year, having someone like Luke Weaver who, yes, can step in as needed. And also, they're also saying again, because they're out in Boise, that it was nice to see a Wahine volleyball game end before 11 p.m. Mountain Time because the 1 to 2 a.m. endings make it hard to be productive at work the following day.
I get it.
Real. But also, I guess yesterday's game started earlier, and then it was a sweep, so you had a nice full evening to get some sleep there.
As somebody who normally is there through the 11 p.m. finishes, it always feels like 10:30, I guess, because 11's when I'm leaving from the post game. But it's like some of those nights you're like, man, this has been a long one. And that's here, local time. I can't imagine folks on the continent. So it's a good little reminder of just how late the Hawaii test can be not just for football, but for some of these other sports as well.
Well, that's why I'm curious, too, to see, in the end when we get some of those numbers as well, because we didn't mention it on the show, but it was announced on the show right after the show on Friday about UH football games to air on Spectrum Sportsnet. That was one of the things that I was alluding to while we were talking about the show that was being worked on, because I know there was this whole discourse about Cal essentially planting their flag at Honolulu International Airport and all of that stuff. And I'm like, hey, pretty cool now that Hawaii announced that the UH games will stream or be on TV in California and, of course, in Nevada. So now staying up late, you get more UH football. The more eyeballs, the better. Like, yeah, it's cool to be at H&L, but I'm pretty sure it's a small percentage of all of the travelers that go through the baggage claim that actually watch college football and will understand the reference. Obviously, all of the Hawaii people, but even that, you still got the small percentage. So I think this is really huge for Hawaii that 7, starting with this past game on Saturday, football games this coming season was televised throughout Southern California and parts of Nevada via Spectrum Sportsnet, beginning again with that Sam Houston game. So the more eyeballs, the better. It's just getting things out there. And even if it's easy for people, we talk about this all the time, Paul, for people to just turn on the TV and, whoa, there's a football game on. Like, let me watch this, where got to start to get more things, like just have accessibility to the football brand. And if this year, and the parity that we've been seeing early on in the Mountain West, if this ends up being a great year, the year for Hawaii before all the other sports follow suit and go into the Mountain West, and we total conference realignment and change up for next season. But this would be pretty darn cool if Hawaii can essentially shock the world and even just like punch their ticket into the Mountain West Championship game, something we haven't done since 2019. I mean, it will be nice to see Timmy Chang, of course, have kind of this moment, right? Because, again, I know there's a lot of harsh criticism on our head coach now, and I get it. Like, you're going to be upset. You want to win football games, but he had a lot of stuff to repair that first year that he was here. Like, and with still not having the resources that a lot of these other, even Mountain West schools have, right? I mean, it is giving week for UH. So all of you that are wanting to help the program, and this is your chance to kind of help out your particular programs for Giving Week, and we'll post some of those links up there as well. But I do love, again, what Matt Elliott has been working on, because it's not as easy as, oh, our games are on Spectrum. Like, oh, can't you just throw it on? Like, you have to ask the question. You have to go through the negotiation periods to get our games there in Southern California and Nevada, right? Like, because if it was so easy, we would have been doing this the entire time. And like, for Matt Elliott to come in here and kind of take this next step to get more eyeballs on the UH football product, I think it just says a lot. And what we were talking about last week, that it's nice to see this subtle but nice changes with the programs, and hopefully the wins will come.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, where exposure does an absurd amount for programs, for people, for schools, for businesses, whatever it may be. And the same is the case for Hawaii football. Having something like this can help you in the recruiting game, can help you when it goes to competing. It can help you in a bunch of different ways. So it's very, very cool. It would be really nice for Timmy Chang to be able to, like you said, make it all the way, or be flirting with a Mountain West Conference championship berth. It would just, I think, ease a lot of the tensions on his shoulders and with fans, and he deserves it. Because like you said, when he took over, when this staff took over, I don't know many staffs that would have willingly signed up for the cleanup process.
Yeah. And the accessibility thing, just real quick, that's a big reason why I'm a Kansas men's basketball fan, to be honest. Like, I started getting into basketball, and then my best friend, like in elementary, moved to Kansas, and I just thought, like, hey, maybe I want to, watch what's on TV. Oh, look, there's Kansas. And like, at that time when you're in middle school, I'm like, I felt like I was connected to her watching Kansas men's basketball. But it was there on my TV, so that's how I became a fan.
The little things.
That's what happens. But just real quick, Paul, what's your pick on Bears-Vikings?
Bears.
You're just doing it for me, but I appreciate it. But for Paul Brecht, I'm Kulele Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye!
Your brand new home for OIA Athletics. KGU AM. K236CR. Honolulu is the Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760.
From the Salem News Center, I'm Chaz Ontai.